You've got your guitar, you've got your pen and paper, and you are ready to write a song. But then 2 hours pass and all you have to show for it is sore eyes from staring at a blank page, and you're full of frustration saying things like,
I'm not talented enough.
But talent isn't the problem. When you sit down to write, are you missing the key ingredient? I've shown hundreds of students what I'm going to show you in this video, and it means that you are never going to sit down to write a song and come up with nothing again. We've all heard stories from the greats, for example, Keith Richards waking up one morning to find that his tape recorder had been on during the night. When he listened back to it, he found a very simple blues riff and the most basic version of the chorus to the song Satisfaction, followed by a tape full of snoring. Paul McCartney having the melody to the song Yesterday fresh in his mind from a dream that he had. These are great anecdotes about where the ideas for these songs came from, but they don't include details like Keith Richards taking this sleepy recording to Mick Jagger, who took the idea and turned it into the song that we know today. Paul McCartney spending another year finding the right lyrics to fit this melody and then being able to put the song together. So I developed this habit of collecting song ideas. So when I do sit down with my guitar, my pen and paper, I also bring with me a collection of ideas that I can use as starting points. To make this habit as easy as possible to do, I made myself a spreadsheet for collecting my ideas, and I've found this thing to be so useful that I've made a blank version that you can have for free. Just click the link in the description box. I really can't wait to show you my favourite source of song ideas that's helped me to write more songs that I personally think are good than any other. But I'm going to come to that in just a moment. First, I just want to show you how I explore ideas and start a song using this. Okay, so I'm just going to have a look at the spreadsheet on my phone, and I'm going to look at the sayings and phrases section. I like to collect common phrases and common sayings because people are familiar with them. Familiarity makes things a bit more relatable. I'm going to just use this one, break the ice, and I'm just going to just put some simple chords together and see if I can find an idea. Oh, and by the way, I am going to show you a way of collecting chord progressions and musical ideas in a moment as well. So I'm going to start by thinking about rhyming. So obviously ice, nice is a bit too obvious. Don't think twice, that's another common phrase, so don't think twice, break the ice. Let's see if I can flesh these two things out and see if I can make that into something. So just bear with me a moment. I've literally just spent about 2 or 3 minutes and I've come up with something. I don't know if it's any good or not, but it's something. So I'm just using a C, F and a G chord. So I've got see your face, don't think twice, say hello just to break the ice, and I know, yes I know where this goes. Common sayings and phrases are actually pretty simple to collect because you can just start by doing a Google search and writing down things that you find. You could just think about things that you personally say on a day-to-day basis. And when you get into the habit of doing this, you're going to start noticing these things all over the place. You'll hear someone say something and you just have to start the habit of paying attention to them and quickly making a note of them. That's it. There's a fantastic book that I've read. It's not actually about songwriting, it's about storytelling, and it's by an author called Matthew Dix, and the book is called Storyworthy. He makes the claim that a story has to have what he calls a 5-second moment. And this 5-second moment is basically just like a moment of clarity or realization that's going to give the story some form of a depth, an underlining meaning, and some form of relatability to the listener. This reminds me of something that I've heard John Mayer say before.
Whenever I want to write a big song, I can't. Basically, a song to fill the entire galaxy. And I've never gotten a song that way. But if I write a song about something the size of a glass of water, and I do it right, I notice a week later it's got the universe in it.
A simple idea combined with a 5-second moment has potential to make relatable songs. Matthew Dix demonstrates his 5-second moment idea with an example story, which is a really simple story about taking his dog for a walk. And it's just a story about a bunch of really annoying things happening, and he finds himself in his pajamas in the middle of the night in the pouring down rain, and he has this 5-second moment where he realizes that his dog's really old, and soon enough he knows that he would give anything to relive this moment with his best friend. He makes the argument that these moments happen all the time. He decided to start paying attention to these moments more by doing this homework for life. At the end of the day, he just sits down for about 3 or 4 minutes and just asks the question, if I was to write a story about something that happened today, what would it be? And he doesn't write the story, he just makes a couple of notes so he remembers it. Since he's been doing that, he's found that he has thousands of stories that he can tell. I've been doing this Homework for Life for over a year now, and I can tell you it's a really good resource for songs. You get quite good at recognising the 5-second moments when they're happening, so you can make notes all the time, but you also get good at remembering when 5-second moments happened before. 15-20 years ago, me and my best mate decided to move in together. It was going to be awesome, we're going to have so many adventures together and all this kind of stuff. But then after about 2 weeks of moving in together, he met someone and she moved in as well. I felt like a third wheel, and to be honest, I didn't feel welcome there anymore because I never saw them. He came to me and spoke to me about it and said that this wasn't the case, I was wrong and I was welcome, and he even said come and join them and hang out with them, it'll be fun. And I don't think he was lying to me at all, but nothing changed. The 5-second moment was I wasn't actually welcome there, so I decided to move out, and I think it was the best thing to do. So I'm going to take this idea and see what I come up with. I don't know whether this is going to turn into a full song or not, but I've spent about 2 or 3 minutes here and I've got something. I know when I'm welcome and when I don't belong, but you see things different and say I'm wrong, but I know that I'm not welcome here no more. I don't really have much time to sit down and write a full song in one sitting. So I've learned to be as efficient as I can, and one of the ways I've done this is by paying attention to ideas when they come and being vigilant about making notes of these ideas. Paul McCartney had to go and commit his idea to memory. Keith Richards just so happened to have a tape recorder. Now, on the subject of making voice memos for yourself, I think it's also a really good idea for you to start collecting musical ideas and chord progressions and such, but I am aware that this isn't something that comes natural to everyone. So there's this really brilliant exercise taken from Jeff Tweedy's fantastic book called How to Write One Song that you're going to find really useful for collecting musical ideas as well. Tons of people have come to me over the years and said that every time they write something, it sounds like they're just copying something else. I'm going to come to this in just a moment. Basically, we want to take inspiration from the things that we like. So when you hear a song that you like, you want to hone in on what it is about that you like and then try and learn it. Now, you don't have to learn it exactly, you don't have to learn it in full, but it might just be like you really like the chord progression, so figure it out. It might be that you just like a particular chord change, work it out. And basically anything, whatever it is that inspires you, you want to try and figure it out, but don't record it yet. The problem here is if you were to just take the thing that you like and lift it directly, when you come to use it, it's going to turn into something that sounds just like the source material that you were inspired by. So we want to work on trying to take the things that you like and then adapting it to make it different to the extent that it doesn't sound like the source material anymore. So you might want to, I don't know, change the chord progression, change the time signature, change the key of it, change the tempo of it. When you've done that and you don't think it sounds exactly like the source material anymore, then you make a note of it. But don't reference where the source material has come from, because when you come back to them, you will find that you've got this chord progression that you have no idea where you got the idea from because you've made it your own, and hopefully you've adapted it enough that you won't just be directly ripping off the original source material. So let's address the problem that we discussed earlier. I've had a lot of students over the years come to me and say, I've been trying this, but everything I write just seems to sound like Oasis. If you only take your inspiration from one genre of music, or worse than that, one band, then it's inevitable that you were gonna write stuff that sounds like that band. So you want to try and draw upon a wider pool of sources. So for example, you might take a chord progression from Chic, from Nile Rodgers, but you might combine that with like a melody from Oasis, and you might combine that with a production style of Taylor Swift, and you'll start just making something that has like an amalgamation of all these different sources mixed with one of your own ideas that makes it personal to you. So my advice here is to try and draw upon a wider pool of inspiration. When you start adopting this practice of collecting ideas, even after a few days, you're going to find that you never sit down at a blank page to write a song again, because you'll have so many sources of inspiration to pull from. In fact, you will have a much nicer problem that you need to solve, which is you'll have too many ideas to work from. And when you do sit down to write a song, how do you turn these ideas into songs? Well, this is the fun part. So you need to watch this video next where I break down how to take ideas and turn them into songs.